I'm in the men's section at Myers, looking for my father's birthday present. Well, my mum is, I'm just tagging along. She's in the middle of looking through some old man cardigans when a store attendant comes over. They do the old, do you need any help? And after being politely declined, they turn and give me a bit of a look over. Then they proceed to turn back to my mum, who is having fun with her cardigans, and states, the skater boy section is on the lower ground floor. It might be more suited towards your son's taste. Now, while I know the way I dress is more stereotypically masculine, what if I had wanted one of those cardigans for myself? How would I have felt then? This also wasn't the first time that I had been misgendered. Since I cut my hair short in 2016, I have been called young sir more than I've ever been called young lady. While I'm not sure why this is, when I do correct the people, they more than often seem rather embarrassed. I may or may not use this to my advantage, but that's another story. I know the way I dress often gives a certain impression to people, but the way I dress tells you nothing about me. I'm not gay because I prefer trousers to skirts. I'm not gay because I have short hair, and I'm not gay because I dress like a skater boy. I'm gay because I have a girlfriend who I love. Please don't assume my sexuality based off the way I dress. While some people may dress to lead you towards the conclusion that they are in fact queer, it's safe not to assume anything unless you have concrete evidence. Evidence isn't the person talking about the LGBT community. It's them talking to you about their partner, or them directly confirming to you that they are in fact queer. If you're unsure, you can always ask, but before you ask, think, do I need to know? Are you planning to do some matchmaking or just watch a movie with the person? For me, I like to think that my sexuality doesn't define me. And while I can't speak for everyone in this room, I can guarantee for most people here, your sexuality is not the most important aspect of who you are. Relatives have told me about how overwhelming the LGBT community can be, and how they try too hard to get attention. Now, while I understand that it might feel as though the LGBT community spends the majority of their time down at Mardi Gras partying with their rainbow flags, there are some introverted gays too, who find this side of their supposed culture overwhelming. But do you hear them complain about it? Have you ever heard a queer person say that they think that Mardi Gras is too overwhelming, or that the LGBT community gets too much attention? I certainly haven't. So stop for a second and think, why? Why when I hear someone complain about the LGBT community, it's someone who isn't even part of it? Why do you think queer people don't complain? Because no matter how hard we try to get your attention, you still won't listen. There are more of us than you think there are. 1 in 10 Australians is part of the LGBT community. That's 1 in 10 people in this room. There are more of us than you think there are. Now, I could tell you that it's religion's fault, but that would be a lie. I could say that it's the queer person's fault for being too out there, but that's not right. It's simply judgment's fault. The way we perceive someone affects how we treat them. We assume all short-haired lesbians would prefer playing soccer to baking. But as a short-haired lesbian, I can assure you that I enjoy baking just as much, if not more, than playing soccer. We tend to view sexuality as you're either gay or you're straight, but we need to start viewing it as a spectrum, with gay and straight at either end. Everyone will find themselves somewhere along the spectrum, but it doesn't matter where you are or where anyone else lies. Before I even knew what I identified as, people were asking me if I was gay, telling me that it was fine if I was. I just stood there while people told me this, thinking 3 things. 1, I'm not even gay. Obviously this was a moment in my life where my vision was a bit clouded, as I'm pretty gay at the moment. Second thing I always thought was, why does it matter? Why does my gender preference affect you? Unless you're planning to do some matchmaking, I seriously don't see how my sexuality should impact you. And the third thing I always thought was, why should my sexuality change our relationship? It's almost as though who I like matters more than who I am. Could you imagine being constantly reassured that it was fine that you were straight, but also told not to tell dear old Auntie Alice, as she might find it a bit overwhelming? Sounds ridiculous, right? Now, I'm not telling you that you need to immediately stop judging people. That would be practically impossible. We live in a society that basically survives off judgment. What you simply need to work towards doing is noticing when you're judging someone and attempting to counter the thinking. For example, if you were to see a rather masculine looking girl, one of your first thoughts might be something like, "Oh, I bet she's gay." Try to notice when you're thinking this and counter the thinking with something like, "Oh, I like her haircut." This is still a form of judgment, but it is much more positive. Just try to imagine that you're saying your thought directly to the person's face. If you would feel uncomfortable doing so, then you probably need to change it. However, there are times when it's harder to tell if you're judging someone. For example, for most people, if you were to see a girl carrying a box, you'd be more likely to help her than if a guy was carrying the exact same box. This is a more heavily ingrained style of judgment. It's judging someone based on something they have absolutely no control over. Instead, help or don't help the person, regardless of their gender. I've only had the time to talk to you about judging people based on sexuality or gender. This is one of the many groups that we judge unfairly. Indigenous people, people of colour, people who are suffering from poverty, people who are homeless, socially deprived, drug users, mentally ill, and asylum seekers all suffer from judgment. This isn't something that we can change overnight. It needs conscious effort. So stop and think before you judge. Thank you.